Hey there guys, welcome to my blind playthrough of Devil May Cry 2, although it might not be a blind playthrough if I'm being forced to start on normal difficulty, then play on hard difficulty, and then eventually unlock Dante Must Die, which is where the game's true colors really show. So, I don't know if I'm just going to play like the first couple of missions on normal difficulty and record those, then do the rest of the game in hard difficulty off camera, then start a new recording for Dante Must Die, or I'll probably just do the blind playthrough on normal difficulty, because obviously Dante Must Die on Devil May Cry 1 is vastly different to how it is on normal difficulty, and you really see a lot of the problems with the mentalities put into Devil May Cry 1 when you play on Dante Must Die difficulty, which is obviously the representation of the true mentality of the developers on Dante Must Die difficulty. So I'm not really sure how I'm going to approach this. We'll have to see when I actually start this first video. But I'm on the load screen right now just so that in-game movie that plays when you're on the title screen doesn't play. I watched it, and Devil May Cry 2 looks very weird compared to Devil May Cry 1, just based on that in-game movie. Like, I saw how the gameplay looked, I saw all the different enemies and locations. Like, it just looks weird. It's like they went bigger and badder just for the sake of it, not really in a way that feels like it makes sense for a jump from Devil May Cry 1 to Devil May Cry 2, and I saw some new characters. And also, before I even got into Devil May Cry 2, there was an option to select either Dante or Lucia. I picked Dante's path, so apparently there's a separate disc for Devil May Cry 2 specific to Dante, and another one specific to Lucia. We'll see how Dante's path goes. And I know all of my subscribers said that Devil May Cry 2 is the worst game in the series, but Devil May Cry 1 is a horrible game, and if you've seen my playthrough, you'll understand just how bad it is, and how much it feels like it was marred by troubled development. If Devil May Cry 2 is worse than Devil May Cry 1, then I expect a very low quality, but of course that's what my subscribers say. Who knows what Devil May Cry 2 is going to be like. But anyway, I'm not expecting much from Devil May Cry 2. I expect I'll give it a score lower than 1 out of 10, which is the score I gave Devil May Cry 1. So without further ado, let's just start this first video for Devil May Cry 2. I'm going to skip all the cutscenes, they're not important. Who goes to Devil May Cry for the story anyway? And with the way the in-game movie looked, and with also the random mind-numbing shit you were doing in Devil May Cry 1, none of that justifies a story. It just feels like they only designed set pieces in the story just to allow the gameplay to exist. Which is, of course, a very different mentality to the Resident Evil team, because the Resident Evil team care about gameplay and story equally, though sadly Resident Evil 4 Remake's developers proved otherwise. But Resident Evil's mentality is so much better than Devil May Cry's mentalities. There's going to be a lot more to say on that, but let's get started. Okay, so again, there's no D-pad movement, and I know this game uses fixed camera angles, and Dante's movement animation looks very weird. And I'll be honest, guys, this game does not look as stylistically appealing as Devil May Cry 1, but I just hope to God the fixed camera angles are not going to be a big issue. And Dante's animations feel way slower than in Devil May Cry 1, and I heard people say that the guns are actually far more reliable than the melee weapons, but in Devil May Cry 1, during my experience, the guns were really the way to go, and there were occasionally some moments when I had to use Alastor and Ifrit, but if people are saying that you're spending more time using your guns than the actual melee weapons, then I should probably expect the worst from the encounters. Okay, so Devil May Cry 2 has a dedicated dodge mechanic. That is so much better than Devil May Cry 1, where you had to aim and move the left analog stick in relation to where Dante was looking. And I cannot begin to tell you the amount of times the fixed camera angle screwed with my input so much that I would accidentally jump instead of doing the right dodge input. So to have this dodge button is definitely helpful. Thank God for that. And the... oh! He did a context-sensitive wall dodge. That was cool. A game from, I think this is like 2003 when this game released, it actually has that kind of interesting mechanic with a context-sensitive dodge. Or I'm sorry, it's not a dodge animation, it's a wall run animation. And it looks like you have to be directly next to the wall in order to actually initiate the wall run. You can't just initiate at a distance. Okay, so what else can we do? How many times can I dodge in succession? Okay, it looks like it's 3 dodges in a row. I'm not too sure what the iframes on this are going to be like. Yeah, that dodge mechanic is a welcome change. Devil May Cry 1's dodge mechanic was atrocious, and I have no idea if this particular game provides iframes on the simple jump animation. It looks like you can do the double jump by default. You don't have to equip Alistor. That was a really stupid thing. I found it really silly that you had to equip Alistor in order to double jump, and you could only ever double jump during the final boss fight against Mundus, which was utter garbage. So it's a 4-hit combo this time instead of a 3-hit combo. Okay, so it looks like the same controls with doing the uppercut are the same. Oh, you can do the thrust move by default as well. So forward is your thrust, backwards is your uppercut, and you hold the button to perform an air launcher. It doesn't look like holding triangle affects your thrust move. Okay, so square is to fire, while circle is your dodge. Okay, so it looks like... Oh, no, you can hold the button. That's a welcome change. I mean, it's a bit slower than rapidly tapping the button. And looks like Dante's fire rate is slower than in Devil May Cry 1. Your fire rate was entirely dependent on the speed of your button inputs, but you couldn't go too fast because a lot of the times your inputs wouldn't register. And also, in Devil May Cry 1, when you held R1 and you alternated between square and circle at a specific pace, you could achieve a much faster fire rate on your weapons, specifically with the pistols. And also in the final boss fight against Mundus when you're in the flying phase. Oh, you know what? This wall run mechanic, this was actually in Enter the Matrix as well. Enter the Matrix also had a similar feature with the wall running where you had to hold out 1 to go into focus mode, and you run towards the wall to do vertical movement or side movement. Can you, No, you have to finish the actual wall run animation. You can't just, like, cancel into a side jump, which is unfortunate. Can you initiate a wall run backwards? Oh, you can. Okay, but I feel like that's going to be a bit of an issue. Okay, and it looks like you still get the wall run even when you tap circle, so I feel like that's going to be an issue. I feel like I might get moments where I accidentally do the wall run instead of the dodge. Okay, so in this menu, what do we have? Okay, we have the Vital Star and the Devil Star, and there's apparently a smaller Vital Star and a small Devil Star, so we have smaller versions instead of just the normal versions, which were the only versions we had in Devil May Cry 1. And it looks like we have the red orb system again, and we have the yellow orbs and the blue orb fragments, and that yellow orb edition was so stupid in Devil May Cry 1. It was a testament to how bad the checkpoint system was. I don't know why it has to be like a paid system to actually get good checkpoints. Why the hell should we have to pay to get good checkpoints? It makes no sense. And the amount of times you died due to bullshit in Devil May Cry 1 and you had to use a yellow orb in order to get back to a checkpoint that was before the boss fight, it's so stupid. Not to mention, if you used any items and you died and used the yellow orbs, your items would not be replenished. And there wasn't even a dedicated option to choose whether you wanted to use the yellow orb system. You had to use the yellow orb, then you had to quit the game and then reload your save. I mean, it's so dumb. Why on earth are we embracing this system again? Where the idea of properly paced gameplay, the idea of good checkpoints, the idea of not making the previous areas before a boss tedious to run through every single time, the run back in a Souls game. That's what this reminds me of with the stupid yellow orb system. Okay, so equipment. Change Devil Hearts in the amulet here. Electro Heart adds lightning element to your attack in Devil Trigger. Okay, so what are these? Like buffs? Like passive benefits that you can apply? Swords, Rebellion, a standard sword for Dante. What happened to his Sparta sword from Devil May Cry 1? He doesn't have it? Handguns, and they're not called Ebony and Ivory for some weird reason. Electro Heart, a magic stone with the heart of a proud lightning demon. Arcana Medalia, or is that Yua? I can't tell if that's a U or an Li. One of the holy relics that were once used to seal a great demon. Oh, okay, so we have this tutorial system here. Flip Escape. So this is your typical dodge system. I don't know why they give these weird names. Like, Flip Escape? Why not just call it the dodge system? Just say dodge. Why are you being unnecessarily creative with the names? That's just really weird. Press the square button in the timing toward an enemy right below you. Okay, that is such weird wording. So just have it be phrased as press the square button when you're in the air. Why is it saying press the square button in the timing toward... That's just poor grammar. I can't tell if this was poorly translated from Japanese. And at least you have a dedicated option to restart the mission. You don't have to quit to the main menu. I don't know why it's so hard for games to actually implement a restart mission function or a restart checkpoint function within the actual game. Because there are certain games where you have to quit to the title menu. Oh, why'd the game freeze right there? I don't know why the thrust move is so slow in Devil May Cry 2. Be careful not to fall off. Yeah, he pushes himself away from the wall. Yeah, it's really obnoxious that you can't cancel your wall run animations by just jumping. So you can't decide when you want to jump off the wall. I'm sure there's some fun to be had with the wall running. And why does the game keep freezing? What's with the optimization? When I reach certain points in this environment, the game just freezes for no reason. That's just horrible. So I'm not really sure where I am because I skipped the cutscene. I'll skip this. Okay, so the enemies can immediately be put into the air. Okay. At least you can see the enemy health, so you can actually tell if you're hitting them. Yeah, it's a lot to get used to because the animations feel a lot more weighty this time around. And of course, what I'm playing on normal difficulty is not what this game is going to be like on Dante Must Die. So I expect the game's fundamental mechanics to take a heavy hit on Dante Must Die, and the gameplay is going to be unbearable. You see what I mean? Like, it's very easy to fall off because of the way he pushes himself against the wall. Whoa! Okay, he fires directly down, as the tutorial described. Oh, wow! So, knocking an enemy into another enemy knocks them over. Well, of course, that might not be the case in Dante Must Die. Ow. So you can increase the power of your sword. Okay, so they actually have your typical stat upgrades for certain weapons, but they are very expensive. Oh wow. You can actually initiate a double jump even when you're firing your weapons? Huh. Interesting. God damn it, there's so many of them. Yeah, this game feels very weird, just with the way the animations feel and the graphics, compared to Devil May Cry 1. So not the best representation of what this game is gonna be like. Whoa! that was a popcorn enemy, but they might be a nuisance on Dante Must Die. Is there any kind of, like, animation cancel method similar to Devil May Cry 1? Huh. I changed that final attack somehow. Okay, so in the middle of your combo, you can move the left analog stick in a certain direction to change the attack you'll get. So I'm holding back on the left analog stick. Or I'm just moving it forward or in any direction, and he's doing a 3-hit combo, but when I'm not moving the left analog stick, he does a 4-hit combo instead. I don't know if I like the way the game is feeling right now. This somehow feels more weird compared to Devil May Cry 1. Okay, they have 2 health bars. Uh-oh. Ow. Whoa. At least the guns are good against them on normal difficulty. So what's this do? Oh, it recharges my Devil Gauge, just like in Devil May Cry 1. That's not good. Yeah, you get iframes. Does your jump get iframes? No, it doesn't, it seems. He's shielded. Whoa. What? Did the enemies just damage him? There's friendly fire for the enemies on this game? That was interesting. Uh-oh. Can't let me get close. Oh god. And I picked up a green orb on accident. How do you taunt in this game? Is it R2? Is there a taunt? Pressing the wrong button. I'm so used to pressing circle to fire my weapons. Yeah, the enemies can damage each other. That's cool. I mean, the mannequins in Devil May Cry 1 could damage each other if they were using their guns. But you never saw that happen. There we go. It seems like the enemies aren't very aggressive on normal difficulty. That time I did a 5-hit combo. How did I do that? Okay, so in the middle of your combo, you gotta push the left analog stick and press triangle in a certain direction. I gotta say, Devil May Cry 1 and Devil May Cry 2 have pretty boring environments. There's nothing really pleasing about the environments in this game, and also in Devil May Cry 1.